Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad, and today we're just going to walk through all the calls of NEOS, KURV, and we're going to see where GIAX is. We may even talk about FEPI a little bit and show you where they're at. So let's go ahead and get into this. Tell you that on the website you can go look at all the NEOS calls. Yes, there's a spreadsheet and it is free for everybody to go look at. And I'm going to leave a link to the website down below. The members page has a little more detail. And remember, this is the most accurate information that currently is available. And I double checked it this morning, and that's all I can do. I'm just presenting the information that they're providing to us, so you don't have to go download all the sheets and figure out where the calls are, where the strikes are. So the first one we're going to look at is SPYI. SPYI, they rewrote those calls a whole lot closer to the money. And this was this morning. Market was up, then the market was down. So I didn't even know where the market is at this time. But you can see how much closer they are to the strikes compared to where they were a month ago. GIAX, they're so far out that we're going to get the 0.5% from last week to this week. That's right, 0.5%. Yes, the fund is down, but you're earning 0.5% on those calls. So at the end of the day, out of that 24% that they're paying you annually, you're now this week receiving 0.5% of that, and it is good. There's no capping, there's no going through, and there's no paying to close out. They're going to be able to pay you that 0.5%. And that's something I've been thinking about looking at, is how many of these weeks have they been collecting those 0.5% for multiple weeks? Because right now, I could just remember 4, 5, 6 weeks. I mean, yeah, that's 3%, and we're only into March. But maybe I'll go back and look a little bit, see if I can determine how many of those that we actually have captured. Moving on to QQQI. They rolled their calls also, and you can see where they are. They're a whole lot closer, but GIAX spreads are so much higher. They're going to end up out of the money, and QQQI has room to grow. Moving on to IWMI, you can see how much closer they are to being in the money. As of this morning, they were about 1.5% out, and the latter portion was about 3% out. So that's just interesting how much closer they are to the money. Now here comes one of the better ones, IYRI. So while everybody's panicking about the market's going down, I have a couple funds that have been going up. IYRI happens to be one of them. What's happening, from my information that I read this morning, is mortgage rates are coming down. So the REITs are going up in price. At least that is the article I read this morning. So IYRI, for 2.5% growth, price is going up, and we're getting closer to that first strike, but they're going to pay you about that 11% range, and we still have room even after we get past the first strike on approximately 70%, 75% of the portfolio. Because remember, they do a ladder and they don't write on the whole entire portfolio. So that one's actually doing very well. And that gets me into something else, and this a little bit off subject, is HYBI. While everybody else is taking a beating with the market, somehow that is down like a whole $6 on a $20-some thousand investment. So at the end of the day, you may want to have diversification so you don't have to worry about everything going down one way or the other, because some of these funds that I'm invested in with that diversification is doing exactly what should be happening during a down market. Now, BTCI, we know that they came out and said they're going to be a strategic reserve, or they're going to buy some Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything else. So there was a big rally over the weekend. It is really close to the strikes. But keep in mind, that they don't write on the whole entire portfolio, and they also hold 25% in actual HODL, which holds Bitcoin. So there's plenty of room for it to go up in price. But here is where we are with the strikes. Now, GIAX was up on Friday. You can see where underlyings, we are tracking that. We can see how far out of the money it is. And it is just doing just fine. It will recover. And I keep on saying has the opportunity to recover because of how far out of the money their strikes are for their spreads. But we'll see new spreads tomorrow. FEPI. Now, I also track FEPI. It's on the website for the members, and you can look at their underlying. It was down just a little bit today, and you can see whether the underlyings are going up, going down. But if you look at the out of money, 7%, 8%, 20%, 12%, 23%. So all we have to have is a little rally for FEPI to go back up. Now that brings me to AIPI. I'm not going to show AIPI because it looks just like FEPI. That's all being tracked for everybody on the member side. It is just interesting that they still have another whole 3 weeks for it to go up. So that's the difference between writing calls weekly and writing calls monthly, because we saw a dip. Now we have a whole month to recover. So today, tomorrow, the next day really doesn't matter. And that's what we get into, because big rallies can happen very quickly just because somebody says something, or the Fed comes out and does dovish, or somebody comes out and announces a decrease in interest rates. I mean, there's so many things that can cause the market to go up and down, and we shouldn't be fearful at all as income investors. Take the portion that you need. Hopefully it's 8% or less. You may be able to get away with 10, but take what you need and reinvest the rest. DCA down a little bit. That's how it goes. If you're trying to be a growth investor with income and funds, it can be done, but it's a different ball game, and there's a lot more stress to that. Now, moving on to KURV. I have the latest KURVs all posted up for the members. There was 2 that were not updated over the weekend, but they got updated this morning. So let's look at the first one. We are looking at Amazon, and you can see how far Amazon can go up in the next month before you get capped. That is very good, and you're going to collect the premiums, and that's the bigger point. You're collecting the premiums, and it has to go up in price. If we look at Apple, it's right in between. They rolled that call. They were very close. Now it's really far out. You can see where the synthetic is. And on KURV, all the synthetics are in red and all the calls are in green. Now there was a couple comments about 1256 contracts, and I should go ahead and clarify that for you. No single stock is on a 1256 contract. So they are not mark to market. Don't worry about that. Mark to market is the 1256 contracts that are on the indexes. So SPX, NDX, Root, those are the ones that are 1256 contracts. So not KURV. KURV is just a regular synthetic. If I look at Google, the actual call is below the synthetic. That's where it is. The red line is the synthetics. The green line is their call that they wrote. They will roll that call right around the first of the month. So you're going to be looking at April Fools when they roll the call. Microsoft, tons of room to go up. Tons of room to go up. And what's going to cause it? Earnings or something else? But there is lots of room for Microsoft to go up with KURV. Netflix has been a very interesting one for me. I really am interested in Netflix because you can see where their synthetic is way down below in the red line, and you can see where their call is way up in the green line. And they just seem to be paying that decent percentage consistently on Netflix. Market up, market down. Just remember, while the market's going sideways or down, you're collecting those premiums, and that is a good thing. The last one we're going to look at is Tesla. Tesla is down right now. a little bit up this morning, but you can see where their strike is in green, and that is a monthly strike, and you can see where KURV is with the red lines, just to let you know how far they can move. On Tesla, it was 23% out of the money. On Netflix, they were 13% out of the money. Microsoft was 9% out of the money. Google was 4.8% out of the money. Apple was 7.9% out of the money, and Amazon was 11.7% out of the money. And that is for a month. So in a month, they would have to go up that much in a percentage to get capped. Just to let you know where their strikes were compared to everything else in the market. So that's where the calls are. You can see where we are. I'm tracking it, and hopefully this was information or informative to you, and nothing is financial advice, legal advice, or anything else. But I am trying to put out the most accurate information that I have at the time. Until next time, God bless.